When I lost a tournament in Malaysia and only succeeded in getting 1 out of 4 wins, what my coach told me was not, oh, failure is an imperative part of future success, and if you fail, it automatically means that you'll be better. But what he told me, oh, I am a chicken and I should improve much more, and he told me what I should improve on, right? We think it's very, I think understand the house being very unchangeable. We don't just say that they're only impact, it's only exclusively understand the house, individuals have the intent to succeed, in which we think you two things is, right? Our culture narrative specifically tells you that the stigmatization of failure itself is something that motivates individual in a sense that if I do not want to fail, I do not want to be seen as someone in society who would not be able to contribute anything. That is why I really try to be better. That's why I become much more critical of my issues instead of saying, oh, it's an actual part of my learning, right? I do not use this as an excuse to tell me this is why I failed. But then B, we think this is very symmetrical in the sense that, oh, most individuals have the intent to succeed anyways because the glorification of success still exists in society in the sense that, oh, if I become a champion of a tournament, I will still become someone who is inherently very respected in society, then that is what most individuals want at the end of the day, right? I have lost 1 final round in this very same room and I'm still here talking to you guys. I think this is simply because at the end of the day, I have much more incentive to improve because stigmatization of failure is what inherently motivates me to become better, yes?
You're here in this room because you improved after failure. Doesn't that just prove the point that failure is necessary for success?
This motion is not about whether or not this narrative is true. This motion is about whether or not this kind of narrative is good for society or not, right? Even if failure is something that is comparatively too good for success, it is not the only step. You're overgeneralizing the fact that just because I failed in this room, why would suddenly be standing here, right? What happens is that I have to train, I have to learn so much more in which I have to improve. I think this only kind of improvement exists because I know the fact that failure is not something normal for me and I have to improve so much more. We think the normalization of failure in this the house only harms this kind of incentive for many more individuals in society, right? The only individuals that will inherently be good for inside the house are the individuals who already have lots of drive. This is very symmetrical. Why? Because I think A, the drive is something that exists on their side of the house, it exists also on our side of the house, right? But then B, why your second chance is still more likely to exist on our side of the house? We think it's because they're much more critical in the sense that I have to improve on this. This is why I failed the last time. Because I am more stigmatized because I failed. That is why I looked into every single match that I lost and I asked the judges why or how I improved at the end of the day, right? That is what actual success looks like. That is what actually, that is actually how you improve after failing. But if you get to the debate, I think firstly, let's just ignore the fact that their case is entirely uncomparative and uncheckable. In a sense, they just make one-liners and tell you those are mechanizations. But let's just go on and talk about how on our side of the house, people are much more likely to improve. Let's talk about the stigmatization of let's talk about the stigmatization, right? I think then, what this kind of stigmatization actually does for society is it tells you 2 things. A, oh, you failed and that is bad. That is why you should improve the next time. Why are second chances much more likely to exist on our side of the house? I think it exists in the sense because you are inherently improving so much to the point here is that, oh, I have to be in this amazing game, right? I think that's why startups will still inherently exist in society. I think that is why individuals with good marketing plans who actually improve in society is very good, right? But then B, if they go to a secondary society, we flip this case. Look at how politicians are going to tell you that, oh, I crushed the entire economy of my country, but it's a very imperative part of my plan, and if I do not fail, I will never succeed at the end of the day, right? We tell you that this kind of narrative on this side of the house will be used as an excuse for very large corporations or very large politicians for starters at the end of the day, right? I think this is why you justify the fact that I failed, but that means I will succeed at the end of the day, instead of saying that, oh, I failed because my plan was not good enough. I failed because at the end of this is bad, right? I think then what does this do then? I think we start blaming it more on the fact that, oh, this is inherently great for my health, it's great for my growth, but then you do not actually see, oh, I failed this debate, for example, because I'm not comparative enough, or I failed that debate, for example, because I did not push in a positive case at the end of the day, right? I think this is why, understand the house, they never give you a very good world after all, right? But why are their impacts very exclusive then? We have already told you what the stigmatization of failure is. You can push most individuals. Understand the house, what happens is that failure is normalized. I think they've already conceded that when they run a lot of argumentation on how individuals understand the house would have second chances, right? They have an excuse for failure and they normalize the fact that failing is okay because everyone goes through failure at the end of the day. This is inherently extremely bad. I think this is their few reasons why then. Once again, A, understand the house when everyone is expected to go through failure. This is why you discredit lots of individuals who are, for example, succeed in first-time tournaments, for example, succeed as a first-time startup. You also encourage much more risk-taking in the sense that, oh, if I drop out of school right now and start a startup, I think even if I fail, it's an imperative step to my success and become the next Elon Musk or whatever, right? We think then on this side of the house, what they glorify is a world in which this kind of failure itself is something that people make excuses for, in which people actually prioritize taking much more reckless risk because they know for a fact that society will still accept them even if they fail. I think this is what happens in our house. It becomes much more comparative. You have to think that, oh, if I'm going to run this business, we'll use this marketing policy. This is why it will inherently be better on my side, on our side of the house. I think this is why you actually have to be much more careful and you actively have to try harder if you feel on our side of the house, right? This is why you really win this debate because we give the exclusive impact of being stigmatized if you fail, and that is why you have the most right. So even if the laziest individuals who win the tournament and they fail, that is why I have a reputation to say at the end of the day. Even if I am inherently lazy, I will still try my best to win the next tournament because I want people to validate me and to call me a champion because that idea is already very inherently glorified in society on this side, right? Let's talk about comparisons today. What they say in the house, even if you do hit all the arguments, okay, companies get second chances, individuals have hope, but why don't we tell you this is not entirely very symmetrical, right? I think hope exists because this kind of debate does not exist in a vacuum, in the sense that many more narratives exist. For example, I hope that I can become a champion next time because inherently I feel this debate tournament,